All right, ready up?
I think the comms are kind of good that last game, but
Did you see how aggressive the comms were? It could be better. Sharky was a bit slow on the reaction, but generally it kind of worked out. But I'm just saying, guys. I told you the guy. I could only tell you that the guy made a lot of farms, which meant that you would see a lot of presence from Bilbo because his economy was untouched. So just saying, kind of keep that in mind, and you'll probably expect a similar thing anyway. Because the dude is building like 8-10 farms early. He's not building any army units early. Just letting you know. So at some point, fairly early, once he builds like 10 or 12 farms, he just keeps cranking out like skirmishers and pikes. They haven't had him build any horses.
Yeah.
So
well, I
got,
didn't see any skirmishers from him.
yeah. Oh, okay. So it was heavily pikes. So who was building
pikes and eagles? Pikes and eagles. That's
eagles. Yes, that's right. But he used the eagles bad, so it's just what it was.
Yeah, he used pikes bad too.
Yeah. Luckily, he came in for Sharky's genitors. He didn't go for Vassal's economy.
He came from my DC.
Yeah.
Uh.
So, but he didn't know that. So I guess Munsif called the attack.
Oh, Bo, they double. Munsif and Dobo, they doubled down on me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Logan's in mid. Show is in front of you, Vassal.
Copy.
Sharky, you got Munsif in front of you.
I know it was going to piss him off, but I needed them to learn a lesson.
The towers?
Yep. I know specifically it was going to piss Shoaib off for sure. Hey man, if you're going to put all your resources on taking out Vitora, or take out the bomber towers.
I was so close to my counterattack on Munsif. So close. I was about to queue up a couple traps and then just go.
The thing is that it mucks the game up a bit because of the varying skill levels. That then they're kind of like they'd rather zerg and overwhelm a person or two, and think that there's no consequence for that. And I just wanted this game to at least be like, there is kind of a consequence for that, especially with the way Shoaib uses rams, like fully. You know,
Logan's
like
worse.
the way he used it, like the way even Logan, like the way they use the rams like so liberally that basically they had nothing to take out the bombard towers, and that's why I just on purpose build them more in front, so that I was like, yeah, so go ahead, use it. You use those rams that you don't have or the gold that you don't have anymore. It's a good thing,
guys. So let's keep it up, and also I think we need to build into each other's areas. So let's commit to sending a couple of workers.
Dobo's Cumans, Logan's Tatars. Shit, I can't. Oh yeah, I'm Chinese.
I'm Ethiopians.
I'm a Khmer.
Okay.
Oh, Kurum is Franks.
frankly.
Dobo is Kuman's shit.
I'm not too worried about that. The only thing I'd be worried about
Munsif is Persians and Shoaib is Toots.
Okay. What's Logan?
Logan is
Tatars. Tatars. I
Yeah.
just looked it up.
何种命令？建筑工，准备就绪。建筑工。什么？建筑工，建筑工，建筑工。
What? That was weird.
喂，
I mean, I'm not complaining. That was weird.
建筑工。
Scouts away.
First scout is out and away.
First scout is cute.
Second scout away.
Two scouts.
Copy.
Managed to pick off one of Logan's villagers.
Cool, cool.
Denied Dobo a barracks.
Why is it shame that I have to upgrade my guys?
Hmm?
You know, clicking on my it allows, I don't know. I've never seen this before. Usually when I click on barracks and I click on a guy, it's like automatically upgraded. In this game, it's showing like I may have to upgrade them, but I guess it's not clear, like if it will or not.
I don't know, like, what exactly you're describing, if that makes sense.
Okay, you know how when you're playing through the Dark Ages?
Yeah, and you have to upgrade?
Yeah.
Does it, like, can you build spearmen or pikemen, or...
It's pikemen.
And you can upgrade to halberdier?
I'm just seeing if I can or cannot. It says cost 300 wood and 300
Gold?
no, food. So, I don't know.
Yeah, that's really confusing, to be honest.
So then what? Do we restart the game? I thought I hit post Imperial.
Is everybody else post-Imperial?
Yep.
Is the Imperial on top for you, Fassel?
Show it to Imperial for me.
How can I tell?
Top left, where your resources are, next to your outer villas, to the right of
No,
that.
it does say Imperial. It does say Imperial. It's just weird. I've not seen this before. Maybe it's this Civ Ethiopians. If it's straight up nigs, you can't get upgrades like.
Okay, Dobo has a large key of halberdiers chilling back there.
I'm trying to establish presence in those areas right here.
Mm-hmm. I got Logan building forward barracks right there.
Copy.
Let's see if I can. He got forward archery range too. I'm gonna build a TC right there.
Raj.
You can be a little bit aggressive.
On there. Sharky.
I'm scouting now in this area. Guys, let's maintain scouting in this area right here, please.
Yep, yep. I'm trying to get the scouts up. You have a scout headed your way from Logan, Fassel.
准备就绪，建
Yep.
筑工，
Sharky.
建筑工，建筑。
Sharky, you here?
Yes, yes. I don't have any forces for that right now. I'm focusing on this house. Fresh gear.
Okay, you got 2 archery ranges.
Committing a lot to that house.
I see villagers from Logan heading this way,
I see it. Copy.
building a TC.
Roger. Sending guys to harass.
什么？矿工，准备就绪，矿工，
Yeah, that's weird. Guys flanked right here by Shoaib.
Okay.
何种命令？
Sending some villagers over.
Rams right here, guys.
行，
Rams. And Dobo is down here too.
什么？建筑工， 何种命令？
They got the drop on us.
We still might be able to save the Torah though. It's gonna be close. Can you send some repair dudes?
Yep.
Send them all to the. Send them. So now, come on. They're here.
I am.
faster.
I'm sending.
Oh, too late.
All right.
Just keep your TC alive then.
准备就绪， 喂？何种命令？
Send them in the town center. Send them in the town center. Keep them in the town center. Your villagers. Send them in the town center. All of them.
什么？
Logan doing some raiding here. Got Dobo coming in too. I lost a lot of farmers in Logan's raids, so it's gonna take me a bit to come back.
Yep.
Building a castle forward here though.
Get out ahead on Logan's. Get Logan's base. See some TCs gathered.
Sharky, you have a wolf killing your dudes.
That's what you guys
Dobo
are
has a
saying.
lot of
Yeah.
halberdiers.
准备就绪，
20 food, 20 wood. So,
3,000
I cannot
wood,
respawn.
20 food.
I can't do shit. So
Do shit for what?
I have Munsif putting pressure on me here. Let's see.
I'm sending my cav your way, Sharky.
Thank you.
incoming. Pike of skirmishers.
Okay, cav is going in on those Keshiks.
什么？何种命令？行农夫。
I think I have some room to send more of those.
什么？
My food eco is
another
starting
another
to.
Munsif attack.
Okay, I cleaned up this for you.
All right, thank you. Let's see. Thank you there.
准备就绪，进攻。什么？行，好。何种命令？
200 wood, 90 food.
I'm at 3,000 wood, 400 food. Still trying to
准
stabilize.
备就绪，主公。
Getting a lot better though.
Sharky.
Basically, I'm low on farms right now. Need to kind of build up after that.
Okay, so are you in the hundreds or thousands?
Like in hundreds, so food wise.
准备就绪，见主公。
I just reinstated my food and commerce, so I'm recovering quickly. Back to 1,000.
Large of halberdiers from Dobo.
什么？准备就绪。
Sharky, just an FYI, you have a couple halberdiers raiding you. I only have a couple of
哎，遵命。
cav over there. I'm trying to send a TC over there so I can support you. And FYI, guys, I do have a treb in here. I'm building a second. So whenever you guys are good, I can go on the offensive. I'm gonna send some these scouts going forward, see what they got. I'm not seeing much in a military presence from Logan here. Mostly, I'm seeing halbs from Dobo. Dobo also has
Big man.
paladins.
He's coming straight from my base.
There's not much I can do there, Sharky, right now.
I'm still neutered.
They don't
I'm
have
gonna see if I can.
reinforcements
I'm
there.
gonna
He's going
see if I
straight
can
from-
knock out the Rams though.
Right.
Okay, I managed to pick off one Ram. See if I can go pick up the Treb. Yeah, I'm gonna push mid aggressively because that's where my troops are at.
什么？好，准备就绪。
I'm just going to be a fly on the wall. I don't expect me to be in the game for the next 10 minutes minimum.
见主公。准备就绪， 什么？
Use your villagers to heal from here, from this side, from this side. Sharky, yep.
好，正确。什么？建筑
So you have a presence of Logan, Shoaib, and Dobo in mid.
Well, they got what they wanted. 1v3.
They got Paladins coming in to attack my Fitoria.
修理。
Happened for another rush.
They got my
Okay, they
Fitoria.
second. Yep. They just need to get Sharky's Fitoria and it's game over.
They're so towards that right now.
遵命，建筑为正确。何种遵命？准备就绪。行。
I'm gonna send everything I got into Sharky's area. Not sure what I can do. I can't build anything other than military, so I'll just do that.
建筑何种命令？建筑工。
何种命令？准备就绪。
为建筑建筑。
I'm building a stone wall on Sharky's Fitoria.
准备就绪。建筑。喂，何种命令？行。建筑工。准备就绪。好。建筑工。
I think there's a thing right here.
I'm gonna see if I can take out that ram from one Sif.
He has honors of his own. Travel around here.
什么？好。
什么？正确。建筑。
Fassel, you have a lot of idle vills.
Yeah, I can't do anything with them. I got no wood.
Can't
have
you
no
build a lumberjack?
Nope, not enough wood for that. I don't even have stone. 0 stone.
Well, I mean, you're getting wood from here, so you should have 100
Not enough.
shortly.
100. 140.
Yeah, that's enough for lumber.
何种命令？
Oh, Munsif is Persian, so he has the crossbows that are wood.
Take advantage of that.
Is there a stone patch somewhere I could use?
Over here.
There's
Yeah, right
one
here.
there and there. There's a couple. There's a stone wall going up from Winsip right there.
什么？遵命。好。
I have one treb left, so I'm gonna see if I can put some pressure with it.
准备就绪。是。何种命令？什么？作战。何种好？
什么？遵命。修理。遵命。
Logan's Vittoria is going down.
准备就何种命令？遵命。
喂。好。行。剑指。
准备就什么？何种命令？准备就绪。
Logan's Vittoria is down.
什么？作战。何种命令？行。
Heal this. You made the buildings.
进攻。
Yeah, Sharky, can you heal the Vittoria? Oh, nope, that's game.
Okay.
GG.
Vassal, you gotta scout the side too.
Gotta scout.
Good game.
GG.
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 I didn't want to say like I'm not gonna listen, but those Trebs, baby.
Dude, we were yelling at him so much.
Everyone was yelling at me. I was like, "Oh, it's going up! Check it out!"
GG. Good game.
Yeah, good game.
Great to show how scouting is important.
Yeah, I scouted a lot.
If you're not gonna scout, you're gonna die. Game's up.
Sharky was the last to go because it
I
was
think
his
most
birthday.
of is gone, so.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's it.
I think I gotta go too, guys. It's kind of late.
All right, guys.
All right.
All right.
Yeah,
See you guys
so-
next week.
Good game.
Yep.
All right.
GG.
Take care.
Games, nice.
Yeah, we had plenty.
How many? We have 5 or 6? 5, right?
Five.
Fifth, I think.
Yeah, we played quite a few.
Pretty good for a night.
Nice.
Thanks,
Well
to,
All right,
thank,
guys. take
thanks to
care.
General Shoaib's the pace.
Yeah, well, I think Shoaib, you just made us more like we talked more. I think
I
not
think we
just in the
talked a
game,
lot,
but just
yeah.
we in our chat and stuff. Like we were talking about how the strategies, instead of coming together on Saturday to like have 10 minutes or whatever, just talk strategy. We kind of we had a couple days to let it marinate and stuff. It was good.
Nah, I think Dobo stepped up too. He did good.
Yep.
Yeah,
Definitely
with those
support.
those trebs, man. And the cavalry running wild on blue. It's like, no, you're gonna trigger blue.
But the best one, I think, for first game, Dobo had to switch channels to, I guess, apologize to Blue for hitting his.
He was like, how do we chat? I'm like, dude, just hop over the channel.
I'm like, guys, my avenue just went and hit blue. And Logan's like, switch channels and tell him to talk.
Here's the thing for my team. If you're gonna get caught like that, and you haven't scouted this whole black area behind you and around you, yeah, good luck. I ain't gonna do it for you, and I'm not gonna help. And here's a lesson for even folks in the last game. You remember Salman when Sharky got? I think Shoaib did that to Sharky.
Shoaib did that to Sharky. He did the same thing to Fassel.
He did the same
Exact same.
And guess
Exact
what?
same thing.
Guess what? No help. No real help to fix the game. No way. So because that's like too basic. That's too elementary. Everybody has to
Well,
scout.
I guess to be fair, on Sharky's side, I think I actually built buildings there, right, and sent villagers
Mhm.
there. So I guess.
Well, no.
maybe-
So the problem is,
But I think
again-
you saw my RAM early on, and you saw my Siege Workshop early on. Salman, when you scouted my Victoria. I don't know if you noticed.
well,
But
no.
I
So
thought you would've-
I was focusing on Logan right?
Mm,
But I had a couple scouts run here and there.
mhm.
You know, just to see overall layout, help Fassel out a little bit so he could see what my dude is doing. But even beside the point, I didn't see uh any of the Rams, any of the units
Mhm.
until they were in Fassel's base. The exact same way that happened to Sharky last week. It was exact repeat. And when I looked on the mini map and I saw black, I'm like,
Mhm.
that there's what do you want?
Yeah, and this is why these games are really good, because I want people to understand their weaknesses, and I want people to be able to conquer them
Because
and figure them out.
I don't know if you guys as a team noticed. Logan actually tried to do that when I was over there,
Yeah,
but
I think you did.
I caught it. So Kodum and me we shut it down, and you guys wouldn't do it when I was there.
So I helped because Salman called it. That was the difference. Salman actually said, "Hey." I had seen it, but Salman saw it and said, "Hey, he's sending villagers over." That's the only reason I helped with that. If Salman never said anything, I wouldn't really have done anything. So the
You're
whole
talking about
point.
tonight?
Yes, the
Yeah,
first
that
game.
was
Yeah. So the map is interesting because honestly, like the goal was to, since the stone on the right and stone in the middle, all that stuff, like the stone goes so far left that like I guess I was trying to make a presence over there, and maybe I don't know, I can't remember what I had at the time, but the goal was to kind of get a presence to get the stone. So if it maybe looked like I was trying to sneak, that's a total possibility, of course.
no. But
well,
here's the thing: like you making a presence there, you'll realize I don't have a presence there,
Mm-hmm.
and
right.
then it's a sneak maneuver because I don't see you build up. It's
Yeah.
not that you intended it to be a sneak.
Right. Right.
It's like in last week when I did a counterattack. I didn't intend it to end the game, but it did.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I trolled my team because scouting was, again, I harped on it was a problem. There were black areas on the map. Uh, Sharky, I actually this time I let Sharky deal with Munsif, and I told Sharky, you need to make sure that you're taking care of that cornerstone. He didn't do it. He got too caught up, gave Munsif the stone, so he built the castle, which ended him. So the thing is that I'll make some suggestions, but then people are going to need to like take that to heart and figure out what they need to do instead of like worrying about a house wall in front. It was all about denying of resources, which he did actually in the previous game, but then he didn't really kind of do it this game, and so it kind of hurt him. But that's okay because he needs to learn how to contest resources, because he actually did that in the last game, but he never did it properly in this game, and he was too conservative. So I wasn't going to help him do that. So that allowed Munsif to have his presence that he did. There was all a bunch of black. I wasn't going to scout that, and that kind of caught Fassel. I just don't remember. Fassel, I know you played with us last week, but was
It-
that with Fassel? You were with some Shoaib at the time when that happened?
Yeah. He was
yeah,
in
yeah,
my
Okay,
team.
so he
yeah.
was actually on the other side.
It
Right.
was me, you, Hurum, and Sharky. It was the three
So
of us.
what was nice about this the next game after is that Sharky was actively out on the lookout, and then he actually found Salman Shoaib's villager, right? So that was really good to see that he was actually being active with that. The thing is, guys, that you have to constantly be active while you're doing that. The thing is that so you lose. You don't do that with the resources, and you lose all of that, and the other guy's collecting stone, and then he's Persians, and you don't know that against Persians you needed to build like skirmishers because the guy had archers, but you didn't know that. So then you came across like all these
Crossbows.
crossbows. So that kind of caught Sharky off guard, and he was surprised. For example, he couldn't know he didn't know how to deal with that. Um, those are very good things. Not necessarily talking about like the civs and saying, "Oh crap, the guy's actually Persians and I have to worry about it." Just kind of like gods, like I have to worry about them, or Huns, I have to worry about them. But nobody really called it out, and I didn't want to say anything. So I wanted things to play out, so that you know it's not about what eventually happened. And here's what I want everyone to pay attention to: it's not about the fact that you guys got the objective. the gameplay is set up so that you guys are successful in the real games that we play on real maps. Okay? Scouting is critical. Contesting resources is critical. And then once you have contested, moving your advantage forward and how you move your advantage forward, right? Those steps, no matter what map, new or old, you just have to do that every single time. Like that just has to happen. And so overall, the thing is, it's not about like, oh, I'm used to this one game type or this one map, so I have to do this. I'm hoping that as you guys are getting better, like as you get better, you guys are able to you know, scout, and that's why to me, it's not about like all the other fall and like what happened and the horses came and all this other stuff. Nah, okay, fine. You actually were able to do that because basically the Fast was completely out and Shark was really out. And then I didn't want to be the guy who makes. So I was really on just being completely defense, and I was not going to be pushing at all. And part of it was because there's no excuse to not scout black areas, that especially behind your base and around your area. And there's no excuse to let someone have free access to resources without doing anything. Like that's just, you can't do that. So these are, and this is, by the way, as much as it just happens to be Fasil and Sharky this game, during the number of games, it was also you guys. So everyone did this, which was great because the whole training map is so that you each individually understand that everyone is like missing, like either they're not scouting or they're not contesting or they don't have the right units or they're when they're trying to contest because they don't have the right units, they're losing and then they can't contest anymore because they don't have the resources. Those are the issues that are plaguing team play. So when you ask for, hey, I need help, well, you can't because the guy just got destroyed by himself and he doesn't have an economy to support and therefore he can't do anything. So I'm trying to hope that through the exercise that everyone's going through, you guys are able to at least create some stability in the first three areas of scouting, your eco, of course, scouting, eco, build units, contest an area, and then start launching attacks, right? Like, if you're able to stabilize that, relatively speaking, every single time, we're going to have, like, amazing games, and they're going to be still fast. The games are still very slow, but the games will get much fast and more contested, and that's what it's going to take, right? Like, that's what it's going to take. Like, Fastball has a weak early game. Well, the only way Fastball's going to learn is if he gets exposed. If he gets helped every time, how is he going to get better? Like, he's never going to get better. He'll keep prefacing, "Hey guys, I have a weak early game," you know, like that's not going to cut it. Or, you know, Sharky not being as communicative about the struggles, or even like the civ choices. Like everyone's talking about the civs, but no one's saying anything about the civ, like anything that stuck out. Like for example, the previous game there were meso civs, so Eagle Warriors were going to come. Like those are things to call out, or like. Now, things in the past where you guys have been used to, I know Shoaib and you guys, you definitely look at the meso sips for sure. But then, you know, if somebody gets Goths, people are like, oh shit. Or like you get Huns, people are like, oh shit. Similarly, but no one's really calling out like some of the other stuff. And of course, I think to some extent, because it's new, because of the Persians, nobody knew, or at least on our side. Oh, well, let me just say that Faisal didn't know and Sharky didn't know about the Persian crossbows. And Fast already had his own issues to deal with. So having civ conversations early game when you're doing an initial setup is not a bad thing to do. Like it's not bad. Just having a quick, hey, who am I, and who am I against? And if everybody kind of does that, everybody can kind of pitch in and help each other out. So that would be really good and useful. But overall, expect these types of games, at least I think for the next couple of more weeks. Because I want to make sure that everyone gets that. I want to make sure that Faisal feels confident in his early game. I want to make sure Sharky feels confident that regardless of who he's up against, he can contest. I want to make sure, Shoaib, you don't like fully commit to like doing certain things and then not being able to defend. Okay? So the thing is that I saw your villager move, and one of the things I can do is I let that base build and then just go straight into your base. And you see, the problem is that you don't have now based on the position of your teammates. Think about this, Shuaib. Munsif was all about the resources and building his economy. And the thing is, Logan is facing Salman. So you basically are exposed at that point. So unless and Dobo's army was too far back. You see, his pikes were in his area. They weren't even close to you. So basically, whatever, like before you actually get like one ram and get the second one, like your base is gone. So I want you to be able to make sure that you have someone covering. Remember, I said have someone cover for you.
Mhm.
So what I'm saying is you didn't do that, and I didn't hurt you because what Faisal did was just you can't. I mean, that's just something he needs to learn. And then what Sharky did was the other thing that he needs to learn. So I kind of didn't do it, but I'm just telling you based on my scouting. I already knew based on where the villager went, give and take another 5 minutes, and then I just go straight in your base, and it's like literally it just Munsif gets isolated, and then and then Logan falls because of someone. So I guess my point is you experience that same thing. You put in everything on one Fatora, and then you lose like 3 instead. So I want you to make sure that you are paying attention to that. And your teammates are paying attention to that because I don't think you used Dobo correctly in that situation. He literally had his pikesmen walking around for a while doing nothing. And that's no good. Like, why was his pikemen? And then his pikemen weren't like even with you, they were like somewhere else entirely. So those are the types of things. Just because, Logan's like, oh yeah, I got to win. The problem is that, like last game, you saw Bombard Towers. This time I laid back, I stood back. But then you guys feel like, well, I guess we did a good job. The problem is that, I changed the variables, I changed the teammates, and then someone's crying again because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. And so I'm actively trying to point out some of the things proactively so that you can also understand that there are these things that you needed to do and you did not listen to me and have Dobo, for example, step in and protect your base, which was very critical. Like, he had the units, by the way. So that was good job on Dobo, but he didn't know where to put them. And he really needed to just put them in your base because you were not prepared to deal with it. All your army was popped out on the other side, right? So I think those are the types of things. And actually, regardless of even Dobo, he should have helped the guy closest to you, Munsif, because he wasn't being pressured by Sharky at all, actually. So between Munsif and Dobo, they could have helped you out. So, but long story short, I think you can expect more of these types of games. And hopefully I want to get everyone to a similar level where we can start I actually have a map, like this map, but where me and Salman are kind of like locked out of the game, like 15 minutes out of the game, which means that it really puts a lot of pressure on the other 6 players. So it'll be like I guess like a 3v3 between the rest of you before you actually are able to get out. And then the game opens up. So I just couldn't get to that map because I still feel that there's still some major problems. I need, for example, Faisal to feel very confident in his early game. Unless we can get that, it's going to be very difficult. I also believe that Sharky needs to communicate more, and if he's struggling or if he doesn't know what he's facing, he needs to talk more about that. Shuaib, on your side, you definitely need to make sure that as much as you're talking about execution and strategy, I still want you guys to concentrate on the 3 objectives. So let me put it this way. I want you to be able to get the Fatora, but it's not about, it's about how you get the Fatora. Did you get the Fatora because you did? Now listen, if you did the move like you did on Faisal, wonderful. Like, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But expect next time when that happens that I'm going to test to see if you have a defense. Okay? So it should not come out as a surprise. And the same thing will for Logan, right? Like, if he suddenly finds himself double teamed, then he can't start crying, right? Because everybody knows, based on the army that Dobo made, it was like a heavy pike presence. So the counter is so easy that the collapse will be very imminent. You saw how many skirmishers I had. I literally just walk in and there's nothing Dobo can do. I mean, his pikes are flat. There's nothing he can do. So that puts Logan in a very detrimental situation. And the thing is, like what happened to Sharky last week, Munsif would get isolated. And then he's like, what the hell do you want me to do? Like, what can I do? So I want to make sure that as the games you guys are improving, now I'm going to start testing some of these things. So be warned, I'm going to be testing some of these things, and just be ready when that happens, because the whole only thing I'm doing is to getting you so that you can. So ultimately, my goal is, no matter what team you're on, you're able to scout. You have your economy down, for example. You're able to scout. You're able to get your town centers in the right place, talking to your team. You're able to contest for resources, and then you're able to do a successful attack on the objective. Those are the steps that I want everyone to take. Now, the key is who's going to attack and who's going to defend. That's the last key, the last part that I need you guys to think about. Once we at least get that across the team, then I think we're done with this map. Then we're going to get into a very interesting map that I've already made, so that we're going to have a real, quasi 4v4, where now I'm expecting big fights.
I have one more question.
Yes.
Can you make sure that Sharky's on the opposite team of me? Because we're arch enemies at this point.
Oh,
Yeah, pretty much.
you already making enemies now, huh? Yeah. I think based on the, I'm hoping that the parity in skill is not like as big. So Dobo, obviously for you, even though you're kind of like in the back, the idea is you need to be able to win fights on your own. Okay? And the thing is, with the single unit comp that you do, like either you go all pikes or you go all horses, that's not going to cut it. So we need to put you in some positions where your teammates allow you to fight and contest an area and keep it. Okay? So do not build one unit type only. That's my advice to you. The reason I'm actually saying that is because, unfortunately, the skill gap, the fall off in skill is so great between you and Sharky that it's kind of really puts it really puts everybody at a disadvantage. So I want to make sure I want to give you a good opportunity, a good experience. And the best way to do that is not that you don't have an economy. You just need to have a more diverse army, and then you also need to learn. For example, your team may actually tell you. So sure, you might want to think about this. Your team may actually say, Sharky, Dobo, I want you to contest successfully and hold that area and conquer it. So your job will then to be able to scout, have the resources, contest, and successfully take over the resources on that. So that's going to be your job. As long as you're able to successfully do those three things, like in that order, then I think you'll be in that position where we can put you in, in more the 1v1s, like facing somebody. Right now, I think Sharky and Munsif still has a slight edge, but they still can play against each other. With you, it's like a big drop because of the game type. Basil is a big drop because of his early game, so I want to make sure that his early game is stronger. Logan, I haven't spoken to you about their build and what you do. Your economy struggles. You've been escaping some of that because of some of the strategic things that Shoaib was doing. But your early game eco, and then your units, the way you make them. It's not even just all the way you make them. You lose them so fast. Like you just lose them, and it kills your economy on the tail end. Actually, that's the reason why you've been just losing to Saman on those fights, like on your own fights. So what I want you to do is, I don't want you to be rash about like taking over or going to places or anything like that. I want you to continue. Like scouting has been fairly okay from you. I would continue with the scouting. I want you to be able to think about like, okay, how do I win my engagement in front of me? And eventually, how am I going to win my engagement with someone? So that's one of the reasons why I've actually put Salman on our side, is so that you are able to, you know, fight him, and you should technically be able to get to a point where either you keep it stand still, or you're trying to beat him. But it shouldn't never be that you're just constantly losing. Like that shouldn't happen, right? Like you shouldn't be asking too much help from your teammates. I need you to be able to do that. Okay. Now, obviously, certain things can change based on the sibs. So I grant you that, but that's where your communication will be important. But overall, I thought everyone did great. I thought Munsif did pretty good. He was slow as hell. He could have attacked Sharky sooner. He took too long. So I think that's a problem. He just needs to scout more. He needs to see what the hell the guy has, and then he needs to go with what he's got to take. Because basically the game could. So let me put it this way: when you guys ended Fassel, Munsif could have actually ended Sharky, but he didn't because he wasn't feeling comfortable. He needed to build his castle. He needed to build a treb, and he didn't need to. He literally had the crossbows. He just needed to get rams and just going. GG. End of story. There's nothing Sharky could have done. So because he did the minor contests and he was winning. The thing is, he was winning the minor contests. He wasn't losing necessarily his house wall. So I think those are kind of like important things and whatnot. But overall, I thought everyone did pretty good. I think I'm hoping everybody likes the format. So maybe in the next 1 or 2 weeks, we'll continue with this. And I'm hoping that the result is a positive where everyone feels like they got better. Because that's how it needs to be. And if you guys feel at any point that, okay, I'm not getting better, I'm not learning, I just keep getting destroyed here, we'll need to tweak things up or tweak the teams up a little bit. So for example, like right now, I think things are okay, but but it all depends on if people are able to get better or not, right? So that's just on every individual. So hopefully you guys will be able to give me some feedback. But by the way, so question for everybody. So I guess Faisal, from your side, how did you feel about like your early game? Did you make any gains on that, or you still feel it's still pretty weak?
No, I think I did okay. I think the games I lost is when there's a concerted effort. I don't think anybody was able to one-on-one me
Okay.
like they were in the past. So I think they realize it too. I think it's not an easy thing to try to 1v1 me early on and think that you can end me there. And I think that was a problem in the past, but now they obviously they have to gang up to do something. There can't
Well,
be a one.
and the last game, the scouting, right? Like scout, scout, scout.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
look, there's a lot of things going on, and like I said, that was a miss, and they
Sure.
took advantage of it, so it's legit. There's no that's
Cool.
credit to them.
But from how you started, where you felt like fairly shaky about your early game, those things are getting better from game to game. You would
I
say.
think so.
Awesome. Sure. How did you feel from your side? Did you get faster? Did you feel like you got better?
Oh,
Maybe
maybe he left.
maybe he left. Logan, how was it from your side?
So yeah, still working on the eco. A lot of it's to do with it's faster and just trying to like coordinate with everybody. Because like if I just go eco, and this is where Moonsif just he goes tunnel vision, and that's why his eco's so good is that he doesn't pay attention to
Yeah.
what's going on with the whole game. So
Yeah.
and I have a question for Salman, but I feel like it's kind of a stupid question. But so partly why? Okay, so when Shoaib and Dobo went left and did their thing, you went to go help, and I definitely didn't. I want to be more defensive, so I didn't put any like pressure mid in a way. But then I decided I needed to do something, so I made that town center, and then you went to leave. How long did it take to like? Because I hit your eco, I was like, you know what? Like, where's this counterattack coming in?
So
So did
basically,
that hurt at all?
oh yeah, it did. It did. Definitely did because think about it this way. You came and raided me in mid. While my entire military, minus a small force protecting the stone, so you can't like just come in full force and just push me out. So if you want to push me out, I have a defensive force so that you can't push, but you did a great raid. That was actually a really nice raid that you did. It hurt a lot. So my military was off defending Fassel because Fassel, his whole military was dead. It was me and Khurram who pushed Shoaib out of the area. So then I had to, try to defend that, and I had very small pockets of military that I had to defend with from your raiding. And then when that was over with, I had to run from Fassel's side to Sharky's side to help
Right,
Sharky
to help.
out.
Yeah.
So that was my game. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm rebooming. I'm trying to defend Sharky, and that's why when you guys came in with the Paladins and took out my Fatoria, there was nothing there, right?
Yeah.
Like literally, there was nothing there because I was so spread out.
And then we saw a bunch of blue, and we kept scouting. Oh, now the blue's coming. We don't get another chance. Okay.
Yeah. So
So,
I mean,
so Logan, remember, let not what I just said be forgotten.
Well, so the thing was, this is where that's why I'm kind of asking is that the part of me was thinking, if we're all aggressive, then there can't be a counterattack. I mean, there's no.
Logan, listen.
But if you get thwarted,
listen, here's what I'm trying to tell you, right? Shoaib and you were goners. I'm telling you. Shoaib had no defense, and you were going to get flanked hard. And by virtue of that, it didn't really matter what Munsif did because the army that I built was completely to counter Munsif anyway. But here's the funny thing. The army I built was going to counter Dobo, Munsif, and you at the same time. And I didn't have to worry about Shoaib because he was all the way on the other side and he didn't have... He was basically done. After he attacked Fassel, he was done. So I didn't have to worry about his army. Literally, his civ was meaningless to me. So what I'm trying to tell you is I did not go out of my way and hurt because I needed my team to learn a lesson. And unfortunately, people don't really learn lessons in wins. They only learn the lesson in losses. So you remember them, right? Like, because they're not necessarily, they don't go down easy. So it's kind of important for like people for like Sharky to be like, oh shit, you know what? Next time I'll know about the civ, and next time I can't let the guy just take the stone because it's basically my demise. And Fassel just needs to just do what he does with the scouting. But what I'm saying is that's why I'm saying that all the other things were kind of like, it's not that I'm necessarily saying that you didn't look at the target of opportunity. What I'm actually saying is I actually did nothing. I was for the most part I was watching and I just sent units for a quick D. But now think about it this way. Literally when I D up Fassel, I attack Shoaib simultaneously, and there's nothing you can do actually. Because I scouted. There's honestly, with the units you had, there's really nothing you could have done. And then it would have been, oh shit, blue. But now that you have done it on a win, now on the next week when we play, if somebody does that and they're exposed to a counterattack, it's very much well within my right now to test that. And if they go down, well, so be it. And if you guys didn't game plan for it, then so be it. Right? Like, somebody has to communicate that. And this has nothing to do with Dobo. It literally has everything to do with, with Shoaib executing a certain strategy, and it's kind of like, oh, forgetting other things, right? Like Fassel generally kind of is gotten better with the early game, but then you have to scout, you have to do all these things every single time. If you don't do it every single time, the one time you didn't do it is the one time you get hit. So what I'm saying is, expect more counterattacks to happen, more attacks to come your way, and then I'm going to hit you in ways that I know where you can't really defend, because you committed opportunity cost. You committed all forces, or the type of forces you made were of a certain type, and so I'm going to come with the counter, and then you'll feel like, oh crap, like I'm just getting overwhelmed, like this is not fair. I just want to make sure that before you get there, we just never got there, is because I thought the more important lesson was too fundamental right now. The fundamental was, we can't talk about counterattack and all of this when we got folks that are not scouting right? Like, how do I get to that other lesson, which is more advanced, when the scouting isn't being addressed? So scouting, communication, direction, like especially to Jobo, not building a single unit type. Like, those are some very elementary things that we need for us to be successful. And then yeah, everything else comes after that. Like, all the other cool things that materialize, they don't really materialize because I'm like just literally a bystander with doing an anecdotal defense and not hurting you. Like last time, like if you think about it, the games of the Bombard Towers, I could have literally just defended and done nothing, and Shoaib would be okay with that because he would not get hurt because of his ram things that he did. I just in that game, and I was happy doing that in that last game, and not really in this game, because in this game I had problem with my team. In the last game, I had problem with Shoaib's strategy because the way he strategized, he didn't do the defense, and he spent all his gold on Rams. So I put him in a situation where he had to make a choice between Bombard Towers or Fatora, and a wrong choice was made. And it wasn't even just that. Even Munsif called out, and Munsif made Rams, and he went straight for the Fatora. But the problem is, whilst he was getting there, his army got devastated, man. so it didn't really matter. You can't just ignore unless you take a completely different route. But there was a problem. Munsif was all the way on the other side, and Shoaib and you guys were on the other side. So literally, the attacks were coming from two different directions on Fassel, and that was really the difference. So in that game, I made sure Shoaib paid the price, and then unfortunately, I mean, you just got caught. I mean, you just the towers came in, and there's nothing you can do, and you're like, what the f? Like, what do I do? I can't really do anything. And yes, that's part of it, right? Like part the.
Well, yeah, so I actually did want it once you built that second tower. I wanted to address that and start attacking it, but instead Shoaib said, "Let's keep going." And I said, because he was confident in, and I made this mistake where if I don't go with my team, the Fatoria doesn't go down. So, and Fassel knows this, or if I was there, we would have taken it. So I was in that dilemma, but I wanted to take the,
But on the retro, I made sure, because Munsif felt he needed to speak up as well, because he also did the same thing. I think he ignored. I think he also ignored, and he said, "Hey, I told them to, like, Fassel's Fatura wasn't healed, so I think we can go take it out as well." Here's the thing: the game knowledge will show them that that was a big mistake. And if you noticed, after I built like one or two Bombard Towers, like facing your buildings, if you notice, I went beeline straight to Shoaib. I didn't go into you, like all the way in. No, I went straight into Shoaib because I know he was the guy, mastermind, who made that. So what I'm actually trying to tell you is that because he made the mistake, he has to pay the price. And now he knows. As a matter of fact, I'm sure that he had a big problem with it, which is why he jumped. Before that game, you guys did not jump the channel. Only after that game did he decide to jump the channel, because he had a concern. And it was really about him getting hurt because of the way he's strategizing some of these things, right? But here's the thing. Now you know too. And by the way, I'm okay with you living and dying by your team, right? The only thing I would say is that you raise your objection and you say, "Hey, listen, I don't see how we're going to be able to do this with all this towers or all this army killing us. Like, you can't just ignore it." Right? And once you've said your piece, if the team's like, no, you live and die by the team. But on the retro, then you can say, hey guys, I told you. But you know what? You didn't listen. That's okay. That's okay. And I know you don't want to be that guy who says I told you so, but the game tells you. Like, the game doesn't BS you, right? Like, you mess it up, then the game just kills your shit, and then you're like, there's nothing you can say, and maybe your teammates are like, shit, I guess Logan was right. Like, we shouldn't have we actually should have taken those bomber towers out. So and that's fine, you know.
Well, it could also just be the blue, right? Is that he maybe thought, oh, like if I start attacking blue, then it's gonna we're doing it wrong. Maybe that's his point. I don't know.
I don't know if it's about blue because I didn't build the 5 or 6 or 3 or 4 bomber towers.
Because you're cutting me off. I mean, if I send my units, they get hit by the tower. So by the time I can even join him, I'm gonna die.
That's
so
right.
that's where I'm coming from.
I know, but they ignored your team. So your team ignored your dilemma.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Logan, this is what they ended up doing. Not only this is what they weren't thinking. They were so looking, you know, they were so transfixed on the Fedora. They forgot that you were defending their Rams. That's what happened. And by looking at Dobo's army, they felt at ease. Except it was Dobo. You know, it was Dobo.
Solid block of Abadur.
Yeah. It was just like ready to be slaughtered. It was like ready to be slaughtered. So it was kind of like that's what happened, right? Like the real guy, the real protector was actually you. And think about it. So now I want you to dissect this closely. By taking their most experienced defender. So think about it. Most of the games, if I give you X amount of units and I give Shoaib X amount of units, chances are you'll win over him. Right?
Sounds like a future map design.
Well, no, I'm just saying chances are you're going to win. Because you're kind of better in the micro. And from that perspective, you maybe not better than Salman, but you're better than him for sure. Okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is all I needed to do was make sure that you, who's the defender of the Rams, isn't there. And you called it out and they ignored, and guess what? There was a price to pay. And in this case, I want you to think about it. Last week, because of the certain moves you made, and in some context, Sharky was ignored and left on an island. If you noticed, castles were built in your base, right? Like castles were built in your base, so you paid the price. You cannot ignore. You just can't ignore it. Well, this time, they ignored you. Who was their the prime defender, the MVP. Well, guess what? Mr. MVP is not there. Purple isn't there to defend because he's talking about like the 2 bomber towers. There weren't that many at the time.
No, yeah.
And then, because they ignored, I made even more.
Because we did take out one, I think.
Yes, you did. You
and then you rebuilt, and then you rebuilt, and then you built another one, and then I think Shoaib just got impatient. I think we just wanted to keep moving.
Yes,
so
he got impatient.
That's why I was like, do we just so
he got impatient, and he did not realize that the guy that's really making his RAM and all of this thing work was actually you. And he didn't know. He just didn't realize it because remember the Fedora.
Well, so yeah, so this goes back to every game that we've played that what was it, like Samanda's Shenanigans or like basically one of those things comes from a different angle.
Yeah.
The one thing that always comes up is why did that happen? Usually it's a stalemate or some way his team's kind of just keeping the other team at bay. There's no pretty much a stalemate. You can't do any, and this is the argument why I was saying the whole like cavalry rush too, is that you can't just do something like that when you're getting pushed. You cannot go off the go rogue and do something like that. And I mean, I don't know, I'm just probably rehashing something we've already talked about a bunch of times, but that's the thing, is that we have to stop the advance of the opponent before we go and do something else. And that's, I guess maybe that's where we're going with the counterattacks, right?
Here's the thing. You've done this. Here's the thing. You've experienced this before in the actual deathmatch games. You're losing ground on one side, and then somebody decides, let me cut through the forest and open another front.
Yeah.
You see?
And then you're losing both.
And then you're losing exactly.
It's like, guys, like what the hell are you doing? Stabilize one area, and that's where this is coming from. But the beauty of this game type now is you're finding that out earlier, much earlier. You don't have to wait an hour and a half before you find out. You know, like you're finding out in the first 20 minutes.
Well, yeah, you guys certainly. I mean, maybe not, but the Sharky thing, the fact that Sharky lost that whole side. I mean, that's to me a huge address. The fact that Munsif was able to just walk right in there and then build
Yep.
a castle. I mean, that's a subset. I think there's others, but that's a big indicator. I mean, shit.
Yeah, and Sharky needs
he didn't
Sharky needs
scout,
to,
yeah.
yep, and
Mhm.
Sharky needs to figure that out, and he needs to realize that, and whatever the case may be, so he needs to do that. So that's why those lessons were more important and more critical. So think about it this way: if I can't, the Sharky thing was so blatant that I can't move past it, and the not scouting is too big to properly to even address. So from a teacher standpoint, what's the point of counterattacking right now when the fundamental area is still not learned, right? Like we're still messing up on the fundamentals. So there's no point in like hurting you guys and creaming you on the counterattack when the basics are not being addressed, right? And so the whole point of the training is that I want the basics to be addressed. In the last game, Shuaib kind of understood about the counterattack, but I'm warning you, he still doesn't know about the counterattack right. He just experienced it one time. I'm telling you, Logan. He doesn't know. He still doesn't know about this counterattack. And to some extent, he'll want to take more risks on doing some shenanigan thing. And the thing is, as the scouting gets aggressive from people, that shit's gonna stop. And you know what's gonna happen, right? Like the villager or two that he sends early, it's gonna hurt him so much that basically it'll neuter you guys on what basically any help that he can do. Because if you sent those first, in the beginning, think about it this way: in the regular maps, in the regular game, right, Logan? If you do not use all your villagers properly, you get behind in ages so fast, like it's like very difficult to come back from that. Very hard. Okay? And it's the same, it's true here too. I actually, on purpose, if you notice, I never build my TC immediately. Why do you think that's the case? I'm giving you guys time. You're like, oh, Blue's taking resources. No, I'm giving you time to build up. If I start building my TC up and my economy up and everything up early, Shuaib just said, oh, I'd rather you not build bombard towers. Bro, I just like defend every area and then just overwhelm you with my units. What's fun is that? Like, that's not fun.
No,
that's why I said I didn't want people following what I was doing, because it's literally a troll. I'm trolling. It's not real. It's like, don't do that. Look at Salman, or like what he does. Like, don't do what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is like really bad. Like, you never want to build your TC that late. You know what I mean? Like, you never want to do that. So, and generally everyone's been doing the TC properly, but I'm just inherently building into the game so that I'm starting off very late.
I mean, there are also well, skilled wise, that's a big indicator too. If we come to try to smack you, you just smack us even more. Worse.
So I guess the whole point is that in the end, it's really, the conversation cannot be about Blue, and it cannot be about what I'm doing. Everything has to be about, what could I have done to be better? What did I miss? How, and what else I can do to be a better teammate? Like, if everybody does that, I think we just have those great
I think
games.
what sometimes it drives me like to I can't like vocalize is the thing that when you come to assist Saman or Fassler or whatever, it's almost like people need to look at that. I feel like the way you come in with the right unit to counter, and you attack the unit that they're losing it. So Dobo, for example, he charges with a pikeman, and you have skirmishers. But let's say instead of like Saman's facing with cavalry, okay, and then so Saman says I need help, and then you come with the skirmishers, and then Dobo is just totally neutralized. That needs to be like, I feel like, because I think the support is a big issue. People don't know what to like. The communication from the person getting hit obviously is not communicated as well as it could be, and whatever. But because we all just say I need help, and so what does that mean?
I mean,
like Doe was saying earlier, he was like, "What? What?" He asked me. what should I help with or something, or no, he was saying what should I build, and he was like, I'm just going to make my barracks, and I said no, you need to start making, well, like pretty much, I think we were talking like just a 2-1-1 or whatever, like I didn't use those words exactly, but the idea is that you shouldn't just make barracks, and I think Moonsif did that last weekend or 2 weekends ago, where he had like 8 stables, and I just was like, just because you're Turks doesn't mean like you can pump out a few. Yes, they're not greatest skirmishers, but the idea of the fact that you're just completely shutting yourself out to just make stables or cavalry is huge. I mean, someone sees that and they're like, oh, I can just march in with pikemen. I mean, I feel like a regular skirmisher can still do damage to a pikeman or anything. I mean, you're still going to do something. Yes, if a bunch of pikemen come in and you only have 2 skirmishers, then yeah, you're dumb, or you're done. But it's so that needs basically the assist. You need to be able to assist with whatever. Now, if you're not ready for that, then yeah, that's something to be addressed. Oh, I need to make another archer range and stuff. So to me, look at that. How blue comes into assist kind of always because it's always like a perfect assist. It's so annoying. But we need to talk about that a lot too. Like look at how blue when Sharky's getting hit on the right. Okay, blue comes in with skirmishers and Moonsif's like he's dying with his I think he made what was it? Yeah, he was Persians. He came with all those archers, and it's like the skirmishers are going to just devour your archers, and then like so Sharky's got that assist right there. So I don't know. It's good help.
I mean, my problem with Sharky last game was he didn't call out what the unit comp over there was. He was just calling kind of, oh, they're coming, or there's this going on, right? But so I wasn't even aware that Munsef was using the Persian crossbows until like I lost my Vittoria.
Bro, oh, yikes.
When I lost my Vittoria, that was when I realized Munsef is moving forward with. No, actually, no, it was later than that. I think it was 10-15 minutes later.
Like what was it when the last when we basically were making our
push
it
was a big push.
We made
right?
a couple pushes,
and I saw this line of crossbows. I'm like, how does he have this much gold? And I clicked and it said Persians. I'm like, oh, so I had no idea, right?
Yeah,
it didn't click to me that he was Persians, right? It didn't click that he was Persians, so I could never give Sharky the advice, hey, he can do this. Be prepped with your skirms. Fassel had that black spot. I didn't see it, but when the first thing I did when Shoaib came out and did that whole attack, I looked on the minimap. I saw it was black. Now I didn't go wreck Fassel saying, "Hey, you didn't scout, you didn't do this or than that." I'm like, okay, we have a chance. All right, we got to come together and try to protect this, right? But I put that back in my mind. I'm like, okay, after this game, that needs to be addressed. This has happened because you failed this fundamental step, and I understood where Khurram was coming from. I was actually a little surprised that he came and helped, to be honest.
I needed the game to go on a little bit further so that Munsif could attack Sharky.
I thought it was also the fact that we tried once, failed, tried a second time, failed. Like that's how I thought blue started coming in the picture because we were making our bad attempts.
I just needed Munsif to take out
Sharky.
Gotcha.
I just needed him to do that.
So Fassel was so badly hurt from that, it wasn't even funny. But when you took out my Vittoria, he still wasn't back in the game.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, he killed like 20-something units or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so...
the whole point was that, look, the whole point of this game type is training. So, and that's why I don't think, like, I know you're saying, like, look how blue is supporting. Unfortunately, man, I think that's a lesson a bridge too far right now. I think that if we can just get the basics, you know, like how kind of got his economy down.
Yeah,
I feel like
I don't mean that in terms of like what you're doing. I want to stop. What I'm saying is that so when Munsif was Turks, for instance, like the couple weeks when he had those 8 stables, he made a lot of cavalry. However, he was like, "Where do you guys need help and stuff?" it's the thing is like you don't the way he should have assisted with the cavalry could have been better. Like for instance, how you assist with cavalry or something. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, what I'm
Just
trying to tell
watch
you is
how
that
when these cavalry comes in and their skirmishers just standing idle. Go get them.
Munsif has an awareness problem, which is a totally different issue. You see, and that's what I'm saying. And
Right,
that's
to address it, you
yeah.
that's how I
So I guess what I'm
make
saying
them
is that
aware.
what makes this very difficult, Logan, is that we all have to team with each other, knowing that we all have like different levels and different areas of weakness, right? And not everybody shares the same weakness, by the way. Everyone has problems in like the other areas, so it makes it very challenging. And that's why I said there's more responsibility of players who know more to be more empathetic. So you know that certain set of things has to happen in order to get the support you need. But the problem is the guy's failing in a few, and he's so blind to his failure, he can't even articulate it to you. Like he cannot explain why he can't help you. He just he'll be quiet, like the human nature kicks in, like you would rather not say a whole lot, and in some cases you just basically say, yeah, well, I got nothing, or I can't help. Like my resources are this, but there's a whole story behind why his resources are low, or what happened to like what was the problem. And the failures sometimes happens, whether it was scouting, whether it's the economy. They're so fundamental right now. You see what I mean? Like it's so hard to be like, hey, you at your certain level may say this, like I know I could help with this, but it's very different when you're in game and you're in the moment and you've got all the stuff going on, right? Like it's very different, man. And that's why I said that some lessons are going to take time. Other lessons, in order so that everyone can have a good time and have fun, where realistically people can help each other, like realistically, not like super like how Blue helps, but realistically, in their own pace, where you can feel like, what, the guy got my back. It was the best we could do. Like everyone can feel satisfied with what they did. I think it's reasonable. It's very reasonable for us to get to that point where people have fun and everybody can count on each other on some few fundamental things. Like that's reasonable. I think so for sure in this group. So not everyone's at the same pace or at the same curve though, and so I think that takes a little time. But we manage that. We manage that with different positions. I mean, Sharky and Munsif were kind of left on an island. Shoaib's kind of like thinking about how to win. I'm encouraging that right now because I need him to be more like, I want him to get more fun out of the game by being more strategic, because he sometimes fails on execution. However, it's something that gets him excited. So I want to make sure that I encourage that. At the same time, hopefully you are feeling more impactful. Like you're able to, like, things about, like, instead of like just saying, oh, Munsif can't do this, or hey, you can't do that. It's really about like, oh, I know I'm working with folks that have some challenges, and I have some challenges of my own. The thing is, how do I be in a position where I can help not just myself, but of others too? So the more you start concentrating a little bit more about you, then it's more about like, oh, you're like going out of your way. Mentally, you've kind of like, how to, like, you've taken care of the fundamentals, and now you're going to the advanced stage where you're communicating to people and saying, hey, listen, hey, support player, help me with this with these units. I'm seeing this, build this. At least not only are they useful and impactful, but they feel like, like if you're a player like Jobo or something, and that, like, he's going to be like, hey, tell me what to do. Come on, man, tell me what to do. And if you tell him, it helps because, when you go through that experience, at some point it'll be second nature where he'll be like, okay, I'm going to be building these units. And that's good enough. By the way, for us, that's even good enough, because the one thing you can never say is like, you're not getting help or you're not getting support. Now we can talk about, like, once we get everybody to that stage, then we can talk about the kind of support. But in the meantime, if you have the mental capacity, speak up. Say, hey, I need skirmishers here. Like, we need them. And you've anecdotally been talking to people and saying, hey, We need skirmishers. I see pikes here. Well, we need skirmishers because you know that you don't have enough. So those are the types of actionable things that would be extremely useful, like for you to concentrate on. So it's the kind of less about like, oh my god, getting caught up with the frustration, and it's more about, hey, could you help me with this? You know, and then if somebody is not able to, or they are super quiet, the one thing you cannot allow is people to be just quiet in their corner, because that is what contributes to the, you know, the tunneling. Munsif tunneled entirely that game. There's no point for me to hurt him because he was doing my job. He was doing the job for me on Sharky, so I didn't want to touch that. You see what I'm saying? But Munsif tunnels. For a fact, he still does. He still does. So it's kind of like an issue, right? So what I would say is, you know, just worry about what you can do, how you can get better, and get to a point where you can communicate to folks so that everybody's like, hey, Logan, you know what? The guy's got a point, or he just spotted this, or he scouted this. So let me try to help him with that. You know, something like that. And you know, this does not guarantee that you're not going to get exasperated if suddenly, like, you see 3 colors in front of you and some shit goes down. I'll leave you with this: the games are so fast. You learn from that and you move on. You see what I mean? At least now you don't have to wait an hour and a half to 2 hours to know that, like, shit, I got screwed. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to worry about that. So literally, it's like not the biggest deal. So I wouldn't. So even though you may be identifying some of the other areas and other folks, I would say we can't even get to those lessons, because for the game to be fun for everyone, we need everyone to get to a certain level. Literally, where everyone can, where everyone can at least fairly easily be like, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter who's in front of me. I know I'll be all right. I want to be able to give everyone that confidence where you guys can say that. So as long, and when you do that, my goodness, then the real fun begins, because now you can talk strategy and you can talk about like shenanigans and all this other stuff, because everybody knows everybody, and everybody, you know, and now you're not dealing with basics. You know, everybody can scout. You don't have to be the one scouting the whole map, bro. Everybody should do the scouting for their own side. You know what I mean? Like that sort of stuff, so that you don't get too scattered, because it's a lot to scout. It's a lot to constantly be looking at your base, building units, contesting. Like, it's a lot to do. So for now, for it to be fun, I'm hoping that like these faster games will identify some of these problems for every individual, and everybody can get better. I probably won't have the opportunity to just tell everyone everything, but I will only be pointing out the most glaring things. You know, like, otherwise the retros get too long and it eats into our game time. So I just want to make it a quick point of, this fundamentally was flawed. Like, you broke this one, and that's it. Next game, I need you to make sure that you don't fail on those fundamentals. And I think over time, if you do that enough, Logan, I don't think there'll be a problem. What do you think?
Yeah.
And that way, by the way, you're not going to be frustrated. The whole point is that I want us to be able to get to a real map where everyone doesn't have to worry about, like, Fassel doesn't have to worry about what the hell what support is my team gonna give me. You know, like, everyone's talking and everyone's like, hey, I'm gonna send units. Yeah,
game 1.
Yeah, sure, and it happens. Like, you know, like, hey, I'm sending these units over, or, oh, hey, like, somebody identified something. Everybody is responding. You know, like, everybody's responding.
Well, I told them in the last game that we just played that Saman and Fastball on the left. That means we're gonna probably have to be paying attention to left, because game 1 I felt like it was so Munsa came to help, but I was already dead. Like, he was dead. So it was like, you can't we have to fight together. So I made that like apparent this game, but obviously, yeah, Munster was on island. I get that. I'm trying to remember one of the games I mentioned. I was like, Munster, you're quiet. What's up? What's going on? And I can't remember if it was the last game, but because I didn't, all I heard was Shoaib talking and Dobo just doing. Well, it was mostly Shoaib talking, but yeah. And then we were all of us were yelling at Dobo. Oh, that was funny.
Good. the more lively the comms, the better, and at least everybody feels like they're being like things are being addressed.
Well, we're part of it. We're like, you got to be. It's another confidence booster, right? You're doing the right thing, because when you get quiet, you think you're not sure if you're doing the right thing, and so then you like trail off, go rogue, or that's why I'm trying to remember if it was this game or a previous one, but Munsif just he said he was killing the Vittoria, and then I was just like, what, like. And he got close, but then I think either you or someone was building, or not building, or repairing. And so then, but we were paying attention to like Samans, I think, or even vassals at the time or something. So yeah.
You cannot let people, including yourself, be on an island
Hmm.
and not pay attention. Last week, Sharky got left, hard left. And you know what? On your stream, he actually was communicating and no one really listened. I think Shuaib at some point said, hey, is anyone addressing Sharky? And because he got left on an island, that's where the 2 castles came up in your base. And by the way, he actually pointed it out. But you know, you were so busy helping Shoaib that you were just kind of caught off guard a bit. You were like, oh shit. You know? And that's when you actually were talking about Munsif. But the real problem was that no one listened to Sharky. Like,
Well, so yeah, that's the thing. Like I think we were talking last weekend was that there's the problem with, do you keep advancing or do you pull back and go and help Sharky? Because we're like fully committed, and I guess opportunity cost, right? So
well, here's the thing. If that's the case, then you'd be okay with the castles being built. The problem is nobody gave the memo to Munsif either. Like, and Munsif actually didn't know what to do. So think about Munsif in some ways like a Dobo, because he doesn't know how to play with Turks. By the way, absolutely he doesn't. Yeah, you guys told him to build horses, and the dude ends up building 8 stables. Weird. Like, he shouldn't be doing that, but look, he did it. And then
he made them all in the back too. That's the other thing. I told Dobo this game, because he made in the previous game, he made 6 barracks way in the back, and it's kind of a, I don't know, not catch-22, but you can always have your barracks point backward, like rally them back. So, because like I'm sure Saman does it all the time when he's trying to build up a defense or whatever, and because it's nice to keep units like once they're created alive, right? You don't want to just send them to the death.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was telling Dobo this game to build them up close, but if that were the case, like obviously you can send them backwards, because I think it's nice that Dobo comes out with a big like force instead of like just small little pockets here and there that I tend to sometimes do, just to have units there to challenge something. But that's the fact that they're way in the back. I mean, it's like you're not really helping anyone. Like, yeah, if someone were to attack you, you're just going to be able to defend with stables.
Right, but,
So,
but you see what I'm saying? Direction. You see, he needs to be directed.
yes. Well, I mean, how do I know he's going to make 8 stables? I'm not watching everything.
It's not about, well, forget about the fact that he made 8 stables. It's the fact that he actually had a decent size force of horses. But the problem was
he's going against
he's going against pikes.
pikemen. Yeah.
He doesn't know how to articulate this to you. How the hell? What can he say to you? Because he's too overwhelmed. He's too overwhelmed. Listen, I'm telling you, if you watch that replay, he had his presence because I'm sure Sharky called out. He moved his horses, and then he saw pikes. So he moved them in, then he moved them out. Then he moved them in, then he moved them out. Like, you know, he was microing. You know that he knew that he was going to be dead. So he didn't want his horses to be dead. But he was helplessly watching a villager or 2 villagers build a tower. And then he was like, shit, I need to stop this. And he just lost everything. And then literally there was nothing. Like, he couldn't say shit. And Sharky, like, he couldn't do shit either. And it was happening right next to your town center. Like, the area between your town center and Sharky, that's where it was going on. So Sharky, who probably was getting exasperated, was using his clicker at some point when he figured that no one was really listening. And even actually Munsif never even acknowledged Sharky, by the way, just so you know. Okay, you never did. He didn't. He didn't. Only Shoaib did, and Shoaib did it half-heartedly. So Munsif, on his own, sent those horses, and they died. And never again did Munsif really go back there again. So Sharky, because he figured that no one's listening to him, he started using the clicker, and he pointed X X X X X X. And even then, on your stream, you never went back to look. So at some point, when your attack with Shoaib got thwarted, you went back, and then you're like, what the F? There's 2 castles being built. And then you went off on Munsif, but I'm just giving you the rundown as to there was this thing going on in the background where Sharky felt pretty shit that no one acknowledged him. And Munsif was so tunneled because he's tunneled.
Munsif, yeah.
And he's an introvert, so he's not. So he's like Sharky, so he's not going to say shit either. He's just like super introverted. So the only time Munsif you'll hear him say shit is when his base was attacked.
Yeah.
But as long as his base is not being attacked, and he's struggling,
he did say in this today. I can't. What game was it? First, second, something. He did say something to me about there's something in your base, I can't remember what was it. And I was like, oh, thank you. Crap, I can't remember. But I guess, and then you can't. Obviously, I'm in the wrong a lot of places, of course. And the thing is, you can't expect that from somebody. Like the fact that watching my base, he could have killed the villagers building those castles, right? Like that's what I'm assuming, but you can't expect that from him.
No,
I mean,
no, that's what I'm saying. So you cannot expect that from him. So there's things you need to be able to figure out. Like, okay, Munsif, work with Shoaib. I'm going to address this, and that way you actually have a real chance because it was literally you were the closest guy. Yeah. It was literally between you and him. So you would have taken that role on defense, and Munsif, who was literally sitting the whole freaking game, could have just helped his horses where they needed to, which he could have done. Like you were saying, you could have simply just said one thing and said, hey, Sharky, I got you. Let me take care of this. It's right next to my base. We need to take care of this. Hey, Munsif, you need to work with Shoaib now. That's it. That's all you needed to say. But, obviously in the heat of the moment, in the game, blah, 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 you're like, what the freak? Like, what the hell? So all I'm saying is that as long as you keep your expectations low, but not like there's no expectations because it's a team game. But this training that we're doing is actively to make sure that everyone can be in fairly similar expectations in terms of scouting, contesting, building units, contesting, and then more importantly, the communication.
Well, what's interesting, the other thing too is, so Munsif's like eco's getting really good. Okay, like it's getting up there, and the thing is what. Because I'm trying to relate to other games and stuff, is that there's a certain, we all know the objectives, right? We know what has to be done. You reach a certain point of when those tasks get done, okay? So we all get to the point of like, let's get our eco, whatever our number we want to get to, like how many farms, how many lumber, and there's a certain point where you kind of have to figure out what to do next, and it's almost like either a self-motivator or just something. How do you help out your team in some way? And so it happened the other day was in Warzone. There's these bunkers that have loot in them, and so I've been in a bunch, and really what I get out of them is just cash. So then I can go buy my loadout, get the gun I want. So we went in the bunker, and our friend started lagging, and I think he got disconnected. So I pop out to check if we're still clear, and I see another team, so I actually go and run because they're getting a loadout. I probably provoked them, but I'm gonna see what they are doing or whatever, and they get a loadout, and because you can see like red smoke, and I'm like, guys, they have a loadout, and there's people still in the bunker, and so they start shooting me, and I call in an airstrike, whatever. So I run back to get the car because we drove the car near the bunker, and that's another thing to tell. Like, there's a person at the bunker, and I use the car to kind of like, let's get out of here, and there's still someone in the bunker. And what I just told you about, we run in, get the cash, get out, and I'm kind of like wondering, what are you doing in the bunker? Are you checking a text message? I mean, just let me know. And there was no response. and I thought it was just really strange that like, do people play this game and just not even like play it, like, and like relate it to either Age of Empires or to Warzone or any game, like, and because it just dawns on me like, yeah, there's things that you're done with and you're just kind of chilling, but it's like it just kind of I mean, let me know. That's what I don't know. So
Well,
that's what I'm kind of thinking is was
there's a
Moonsif
whole lot of there's a whole litany of things that are happening, right? And
like, did you
we
get an
don't know-
email? Like, are you reading your email while you're done with
Yeah,
your game at that certain point?
Here's the thing: depending on the personality, they may or may not tell you one way or the other, or maybe they're overwhelmed, or maybe some other shit's going on, or whatever the case may be. And to be honest, to be fair, you know, Munsif and a lot of these folks, regardless, I mean, they're playing the game once a week like everybody else. And I'll tell you this much: it's not like their general game, like Munsif isn't a gamer. Okay, he just plays this to fit in, but he's not a gamer. Should to some extent plays FPSs, but and he's somewhat of a gamer, but he's not like true gamer like in like your standard of gamers, like how you would define them. So for a lot of folks, they're just kind of coming in, and now it's just based on personality. Like Shreve kind of likes the strategic part, so you see him excel in some of that stuff because he likes thinking about it, talking about it, and so on and so forth. Munsif is like super introverted. He's all about like, okay, give me the instruction. I do 3 houses. I build, like, tell me. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm going to do step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tomorrow, if I'll change the game type, you'll see Munsif crash. So if I change it back to the regular or whatever, his first few games are just going to be horrendous because he forgot the formula. He forgot how to build, like, what to do, how to set things up when the Fedora isn't there. So my point is that nobody has practice. Like, nobody's like really thinking, and then they just come around and be like, "Hey, man, it'll be really cool to be like build the army units and just go at it and blah 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 blah." So, and I actually think Warzone's even worse because it's an FPS. Teams are coming, and if you're not super communicative or moving around, you're dead. Like, if you're not moving, you're dead. Like, it's really simple as that. So obviously, if you have people's personality. Munsif is very introvert, so he doesn't talk. Sharky's an introvert, so he doesn't really. It's like it's tough to get them going. And so if you're being super talkative and being compensating for it, it doesn't always translate. It can translate in sometimes. Other times, it may still not translate into them being very vocal, especially if they faux pas or they're in the shit. Because nobody likes talking about themselves being in the shit. Like if you're expecting like your teammate to watch your back, and then turns out like he lost his way there, like he screwed up his direction. He thought he was going east but went west, or he got confused.
Oh yeah.
Or he's building a TC and he lost a villager to condotieros and just like, oh, I'm okay.
Oh, by the way, did Sharky? Sorry, I just remembered something. Did Sharky delete a town center and build it right next to it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I scouted it and I'm like, what? Did someone take out a TC? And I'm like, oh wait, he must have moved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a really good point because I guess what I'm thinking of, me growing up and stuff, is whenever like, okay, so, patience is a big thing, obviously discipline and stuff. And as a kid, you just like, give me the next thing. Like, I want to get a puppy or whatever. Like, it's something to enjoy, and so you're constantly like fiddling your fingers, right? So I think maybe I'm coming from that background in terms of like, so we went to the bunker, we got our cash, we're out. What are we doing now? What are we doing, guys? And that's, I think, like, maybe I still have that kind of thing. Like, I did my task, got the cash, let's go get our loadout, like whatever, let's go. And instead, there's some people that either they're just there for the ride, like they don't have that like,
right.
Like what's next and stuff. I mean,
that's exactly right.
But that's what's so weird though is if. I feel like the objective should drive that, but then that's incorrect use. It's not should, right?
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, it's first of all, in an FPS, if you're not constantly moving, you're dead. I'm just telling you, it's just what it is, and especially in Warzone, okay? Because there's tons of shit that happen in Warzone. Teams are actively looking to kill. I mean, they need the money, they need the bounties. Like there's too much going on.
Well, we also love the pop-ups, right? We love that,
exactly.
You killed somebody, team wiped.
That's right. And so my point is, like, there's so much going on, it's like if you've got like folks that are just kind of like, yeah, brah, let's kick it, let's chill, let's put a squad, guys, let's get a squad going. But you know, you've got like, hey guys, let's get a squad going, and then you have the other enemy team. Hey, listen, point A, like I'm here, like northwest in this house. I saw 2 people go in here. Let's go. You come from the south. I'm coming from the east. They're like, huh?
Yeah.
What? Like,
Well,
what do you
so
mean
that's
south
the
and
thing.
what do you
So
mean east?
I constantly battle to explain to people when they start shooting. Okay, it's like, first of all, one, you're giving away your position, right? 2, are you doing anything to him? If you're just shooting because you see somebody, it has to be. I mean, we talk about actionable, right? It has to be actionable. And because in the game, if you just hit somebody, they can plate up, they can recharge, no
True.
problem. If you down them, they can just get revived by a teammate. And if you can down them in front of you and then you can kill them, that's the best. Okay, so it's like people sometimes they just start shooting to, and we call it skirmishing. It's like, do we want to just skirmish or do we want to actually engage or take them out? And that's a talk we always constantly have. And it's kind of bizarre that some people just they think skirmishing is the way to go, but it gets you nowhere because, one, like I said, it gives away your position, and number 2, it's just going to waste your bullets because you're just going to go in a cycle of downing the person. They're going to get
All I
revived.
gotta tell you is this. I'll tell you this from a guy who's played FPSs before. Like I played the Call of Duties before. I just haven't had the opportunity to play Warzone.
Oh, it's so much fun.
I tell you this much. If you haven't figured out the guns, and if you haven't figured out targeting, and if you haven't figured out distancing, and you haven't figured out how to shoot, you're screwed.
Yeah. So distancing, exactly.
So
yeah.
true.
You're like screw, bro. It doesn't matter if you're a team or not, and by the way, it doesn't even matter if you can communicate because you can't kill shit.
Sure,
You're dead. You can't cover anyone.
No,
So
it's each season they reset the floor guns,
know.
and it's so annoying to like. I'm so used to like 2 seasons ago,
Yeah.
MP7 was so good. Then it was like the last season, P90 I think it was, and then this season it's a cross between. They brought the Uzi, but it's not that great. But then the Kilo is pretty good. But those are the floor guns, and if there's any other gun, it's all RNG too. The game pisses you off because it's like he grabbed the shotgun, I grabbed the stupid the Desert Eagle, which I freaking can't handle or something like that. I get lucky with it or something. But the shotgun, it's like just 2 hits and you're done. So it's just, it kind of sucks there. But then if you land on your good guns, the guns you know how to play or know that they're good, oh, GG to the
Here's
opponents.
the thing. I'll tell you this much because I've got friends that actually play that at the high level, basically to compete. I'm just telling you, they know spawns, and they know certain areas that deliver those spawns. Or meaning, there's a very high percentage of chance, based on where you drop, that you get like pretty decent guns, and that's a great starter position to then spread out from a team perspective, and then they make their circle, like their rounds, right? But regardless of that,
well, it's the loot. So they actually they don't know where the guns are going to be, but they increase the chances of that. That's what I think. So Superstore, for instance, why all the streamers go to Superstore is because the loot is so tightly packed that no matter like where they land on Superstore, they're going to find something because of how tightly packed.
But here's the thing with but here's the thing. Regardless of where, here's the issue. All these guys are pretty darn good shots with certain guns.
Sure.
Okay, so they know that, you know what, we're going to go here. There's going to be other people that are going to drop here, but 8 out of 10 times, we're going to nail them.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is, so we talk about it like with my cousin Adam. It's funny, and his friends, is that there's trends, right? So they know that there's certain contracts or whatnot, and you pick them up. There's going to be people going this way and that way. If you played it enough, I mean, these guys, the streamers, the fact that like one of them has over almost 1,100 wins or maybe 1,200 wins, is that he knows so many games that he's played the patterns of people. So the circle is on the left side. He knows that the circle is going to go this way. He knows that a team and he might not like be perfect, but he like can expect and kind of plan it out and just post up. And I mean, they know all the little secret like boxes.
All I gotta say is that's not who you're playing with, though.
Right. Sure.
So you're playing with the guy who's going to run straight into that.
Yeah.
And even if he finds somebody, he ain't gonna be able to shoot shit. Give him even a great gun, he's gonna like screw it all up. And
Yeah.
he'd be like, "Hey man, Logan, come
I'm
on, man."
thankful not playing those guys. Fuck that. There's a theory out that some of the streamers they go and just die right away because somehow there's the theory that it takes your last 5 games. So they go and die right away to then lower their it takes their last 5 games kill death or something, and then they get in the next game after that they get an easier lobby, something like that. But
Hey, listen, that's not what your buddies are all about. Though.
I don't think
Your
that's
buddies
true.
are about like, "Hey, Logan, let's go, man. Let's chill. Let's do this, man. Let's get our squad up." Logan's like, all right, guys, let's go. Let's make this happen, Rice. Okay, on this right corner, he's like, "A what? You're right or my right?"
That reminds me of me playing Destiny. So it got to the point where none of my buddies would all refuse to play Crucible with me because I wasn't the guy who would just go in and lose matches or whatever, right? So my score was considered a really high score. So that these other guys, every time they would join, they would just die, and they're casuals like Munsif and whatever, right? And my score is so high that they just die. So they completely stop. They're like, "You're doing Crucible? No, we won't join you."
Dang.
Yeah,
It's
man.
not that we don't want to play with you. It's the fact that we can't compete on your level.
Well, so the other thing, so I switched between 3 groups. I used to actually play with like 4 groups, but one group I don't know they stopped playing or something. But the thing is, each group plays it differently, right? So one group, I mean, Ben, stepbrother Ben, he can because he goes to bed at he's probably been in bed for the last 4 hours, and I want him to get playing Age of Empires again, but whatever. He likes it's called KGB Hit Squad. So he loves to just charge. And it's hard because I play with people who are really conservative. And this is the dilemma I have where it's like, if you're going to engage somebody, are you going to down them? That's one thing. Are you going to finish them? If you're just going to shoot them for the sake of shooting them, that's not helpful at all. Because one, you're going to give away our position and maybe his teammates somewhere else that's going to just kill us. So with him, though, he immediately addresses that issue, right? Because KGB, if you're going to hit him, you're either going to die or you're going to get him killed. There's no in between. You're not going to just half-ass, unless somehow we call it Houdini. Like the guy just disappears, and we're like, "Where the fuck did he go?" And we kind of spend 30 seconds trying to look for him, and then one of us either dies because he's just camping or something. But whatever. And then I play with really conservative folk where they just really love to just kind of go to them through the circle really slowly and they follow the gas or be with outside in the circle so they don't have to worry about gas. Which preferably I like that because that way they don't freak out about gas because it's really funny when the gas is coming. They're like, "Oh my god, the gas!" I'm like, "Guys, it's been on your map for a while. It's coming." But it's hard, so I have to adjust. Like with Ben, he would yell at me for I thought we're KGBing this guy, and I'm like, "Oh shit, I got to switch." And I think I mentioned this before to Fassel about how the difference between people, you kind of have to play a different way and handle it a different way. You can't
That's right.
can't be aggressive with
can't.
certain people. You can't say "Well, why the fuck were you not next to me?" And they're like, "Well, we were playing conservative," so they throw that at me, and I'm like, so.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Destiny kind of competitive thing. It's called Trials of Osiris, and in Destiny 2 was Trials of 9 that brought back Trials of Osiris. But that's side point. So it's basically 3 versus 3 elimination. You as a player get 1 revive. So if your teammate goes down, you get to revive 1 player. That's it, right? So all these tactics and all these things come into play, and all that gunfighting, and then there's different styles of play as well, and then there's the meta. It's like, okay, everybody, the meta is a shotgun. Well, or the meta for this map is snipers. Well, then how are you going to play against that meta? And you have all this conversation on that high level, talking about this, your strategy, what you're going to do, how your team comp is set up. But I don't know how many times I've had to go in there with casuals, which is why some of the hardcore players won't play with me because my score is lower than the hardcore, but it's higher than the casual, so I'm just stuck in this no man's land. It sucks. So my point with being is, when you play with casuals, you can tell, bro. They think they know what they're doing. They use the weapons they like, but they don't know what the hell they're doing, man. They go in and they die. every time. Every time. 1v1, they're dead every single time. It's just stuck to you. So that happens. Sometimes you have an off game and that just happens to be you, and the good guy just drops, whatever. But what we're saying is Munsif, Sharky, Dobo, they're a little bit more towards the casual side of things. So it's a different approach, right?
Sure, I can agree with that.
So it's like you said, when you play with the one squad, you're going around conservative, taking your time. And then when you go with Ben, you're doing this. I think you said KGB, whatever. Where you're rushing, you're going in. You, you know, um, think about it this way. Munsif has a slow start, or Fassel has a slow start. So how do you account for Fassel having a slow start on your team? How do you account for Munsif not knowing how to use his resources properly? Because by God, we know this man loves champions for some unknown reason.
Yeah, Choi made it really clear. Like, we're gonna talk before you spend gold.
Um,
And then here I go making paladins that one game. Good.
What are you gonna do when Sharky makes random gold units? Because he has the exact same tendency to make random gold units. But the thing is, I'm a little bit more okay when Sharky does it because he's more what's the word? He's more aware in his approach. It's like, okay, he's coming with some archers. I'm gonna build some cavalry.
And then it'll build paladins or something. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm a little bit more okay with the way Sharky does it, but sometimes he'll come with archers, and I don't know what they're there for. I don't. But yeah. So sometimes he does that.
Yeah.
But
So at the end of the day, I mean, that's what we're kind of dealing with. So for the gameplay to get better, everybody and what do we mean by that? For everyone to have a decent experience, right? Like everybody felt like they felt good about joining Saturday night, and to do that, you know, everybody's got to get something out of the game. Everybody, and yeah, that means that now it's not a single player game, so it can't be just about an individual. It's for good or for bad, it's still a team game, which means that you do rely on other people in terms of the experience you get. So I'm really hoping that we can all get to a reasonable level. Not everyone's going to be at the same level though. Reasonable level that the team games become more fun, and then we can switch to open have the markets, get the gold, get the blah blah blah, just go all out now. Like really enjoy the game fully, right? Like no problem. But at that point, you're not making crazy mistakes like pallies into a wall of pikes. Like nobody's doing that, or camels into pikes.
yeah,
Anyway, nobody's doing crazy.
there's a time and place for that. But
yeah, not like that. So the thing is that we just need to get all these basic things down so that precisely when you're in those situations, people are not saying, "Oh, we're losing, we don't know what to do, so let's open another front." Or nobody's going to say that. Everybody's going to be like, "Okay, guys, this unit is killing us."
So this game will never leave my mind. I don't know if I ever will. Was that one game where I was Teutons? I don't know if you remember this slogan because you were the opposite team. It ended up being me by myself defending against all of you, and the rest of my team went off and made a second breach for no reason. I'm defending by myself, and then I don't remember. Yeah, you were Mongols. Oh yeah, you were Mongols. And then Fassel made a cut because they cut so close to the main front, the original
Was
front.
this the one with the forest where it slowly cuts and then opens up to the battle, or?
Oh, wait, you have to cut with the onagers. Yeah.
Well, wait. Oh, do you have to cut, or can you just let it?
I mean, if you
Right. It
if you
it would
cut
be
with
helpful,
villagers,
or
it's
not
gonna be
helpful,
you're
but
gonna
like
be there for 2-3
yeah,
hours. Yeah,
yeah, it would take a
yeah,
while. Yeah.
yeah. So you know, they cut so close to the main front that I remember Fassel actually ended up cutting from the main front to their side front and then flanked them. So then they lost everything there, and I was still the only one defending.
Mm.
So then we started losing ground on two fronts, and it's just like, and then I ran out of gold, and well, there was nothing left.
So those are the types of scenarios that we're just trying to hope to avoid in the larger case, so that the games become faster, they get more explosive, they get more fun. But even if the game now, there's a very big difference between a game going for an hour and it's like craziness, right? Like real craziness, and people are making games, people are losing, people are like really the struggle is there. Versus, like freaking
The,
stalemates and retardedness
you're
and
just
like
sending pally after pally after pally
yeah.
after pally after pally after pally after pally. There's no forward progress. There's no being pushed back. It's just pally after pally after pally.
God. That's what we're trying to avoid, so that like now, because of all this comms and all this training, you'll be able to say, or you guys will be able to say, man, this one unit is just destroying us, we have to figure out how to get to it.
Mm.
And there's your puzzle. And now the problem, now everybody's working. Okay, the units we got right now are not working, so how the hell do we get to it? Like that's a good problem. Like that's the puzzle. When you have like good resources, lots of gold, right? Lots of stone, lots of everything, but now you're getting pushback. So now you're figuring out, okay, like what the hell do we do? So those are the types of things where you're creating death balls and you're trying to break death balls. You're trying to push. Like we can. I think we've had a few, not many, but we have had a few games where even if they were an hour and a half or something, they never felt like an hour and a half, like they used to. Sometimes an
It
hour
would
and a
feel
half
like,
felt like 2 hours.
yeah, I was gonna say sometimes that hour and a half game was like I felt like a 3 hour game. You're just sitting there doing nothing.
So the idea would be that everybody would be getting in really quick, really fast, and like that sort of stuff. I can't wait for us to get there, because that's where the game becomes super fun. Like, let's be honest. Right now, we're just like stuck in like the food wars and shit. I mean, we need to actually start using other units of the freaking DE version, man. Like, what the freak? We can't even get there right now. Like, hardly do we ever get to build the castle units or the unique units. It's like we never get the chance. So
Yeah, but you're leading up to a point where when we do get castle, it'll be like so
now
exciting.
it will be, because now when you get to it, my goodness, those units are going to be impactful, and you'll know how to use them. That's the difference. You'll know how to use them. You won't be like, oh, what castle unit? Oh, okay. Let me just crank them out and just send them in. No one's going to do that. Nobody. So that's when it becomes fun. So when you actually lose, you can say, hey, man, shit, I tipped my hat because you knew exactly how to take me out. You wouldn't just say, oh, like, I was just building shit.
Case in point, there was nothing Vassal could say when Shuaib took him out in that last game.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Nothing, because he there was a fault. It was exploited, and he acknowledged it. And case in point, there was nothing for him, nothing left to say.
We moved on. So that's exactly what it was. And then after that, it was just I needed Sharky to learn a lesson. So that's what it was. So, but
Well,
it
good
was fun.
stuff, guys. It was good.
Okay, man. I think it's
Definitely ass kicking in the first two, and then we were like third time's the charm before we head over, and then fourth game. I don't shit. What happened fourth game? We got our asses beat again. I think
It was the bombard towers.
the bombarders. Yeah. You're right, and then that cut us off, and yeah, and what was it? I wanted to say, yeah, we have to. The whole thing of making, Fassel was saying, making our pushes always, like last week or the week before, just they have to be significant, and this is one thing that, like the patience thing, and because I think we all, either my side, whatever, is the whole thing of we just think go go go, and Fassel said, yeah, he said it exactly. He said we think, oh, we're just gonna roll right through, even though it's like, is this the opportunity? And if we're gonna take it, we're gonna take it, but we have to like scout big time, right, and see if this is what we want to take, because sometimes it's not what it seems. So yeah,
definitely not. And I'm telling you, next week, lots of counterplays.
okay. So yeah, to end on that, so or well, we don't have to, but what is it? You said when I went to go after Samon's base, okay, when he was going to help Fassel, you were gonna go and crush me, right?
No, Shoaib.
Sure.
The reason you would die is because Shoaib was going to go down. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Because with Shoaib gone, that means you are now exposed.
Right. Yeah. Gotcha.
So literally that means that you would never get to hit Salmon, honestly. You would get one you would get, remember last week Faisal said you take out one Fatora and you lose two instead? Actually in this case you'd lose three.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
So,
yeah.
so the thing is it's kind of like but anyway, it wasn't the time. The lesson, like we couldn't even get to that lesson. Like, what was the point? There's no point in that lesson right now. Like, the problems were too fundamental that we couldn't get to that
I
lesson.
just honestly I find it kind of funny that Fassel made that exact same mistake that Sharky made last week. So not only was the exact same mistake, but we actually harped on him on the scouting the 2 games prior.
Because Shoaib was really vocal on, he was like, I don't want to see any dark spots. And I was like, whoa, coming from you? Dang.
Yeah.
You know what I find hilarious about that? Bro, when he was, I think it was Incas, and he had the Eagle Warrior, but his Eagle Warrior never left his base. He didn't scout one bit.
Because he was
left it up to us.
How about that? I saw Dobo's, Munsif's Eagle Warrior, because it was Munsif and Shoaib that were double mezzo that time.
Yeah. Incas and mine, yeah.
I saw Shoaib's Eagle Warrior running around scouting. I saw Shoaib sitting in his base. I'm like, this dude.
But I'm just warning you that, like, people are going to be like, oh yeah, we're going to do the strategy and that strategy, but if a lot of the fundamentals, if the fundamentals fairly seem okay, then the counterplays are going to be more important, where you'll see some counterplays happen, and then like even me telling him the last game, he still didn't do it this game. So obviously he's going to be super exposed.
Yeah, well, it got us thinking. Like, I think when he brought up the channel, I didn't write much because honestly, yeah, it all changed pretty much today. Like the fact that we put Dobo in the back and stuff, and
Yep.
but the thought of what was it? Just the fact that we're vocal and it seemed like thinking of ideas and stuff, like what would work and what would not work, stuff like that, and I think that kind of helped. I mean, so that's what I take from it, because I certainly I liked what he was saying, but at the same time, yeah, obviously it backfired certain ways. Like Dobo cannot handle the right side. I mean, Sharky just freaking toyed with him, and then Dobo's dead without freaking eco. I mean, we all are, and so, but someone who can't really kind of live off of that, and you're done. There's no, he's stuck in one base, and if he loses that, he's done. He's got no second, because he's just, that's how he is. So yeah. So, but yeah.
And Munsif being tunneled, that's not great either. So
Well, it definitely didn't help that Sharky was on the back foot because he probably Munsif got a little bit of like what reinforcement you want to say, right? Like he kind of it's a false sense of confidence.
Yes, it is.
So
Like so
like
a lot of those. So what I'm saying is, there's so many of these like false sense of like, hey, look, this worked. This was great. The problem is that for the casuals and for some of the other folks, they're like, all right, man, we're gonna.
well in a way let him bask in it because you want him to have some like right
No,
made it tonight, right?
I'm not saying any of that. All I'm saying is that the problem still comes back to is the dude can't tunnel. He just
Yeah.
can't tunnel, man.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't care what it is. Go down like you went down in flames, but you know what? You did what your team asked you to. Okay? I would rather you lose like that than die on your own doing some shit and your team is all divided. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I did that for game 1 or 2 or something where
yeah.
I had an army and I just was like, that's the one siege ram
Yeah.
and didn't
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
Honestly, the game was over and I just had that army. I'm like, yeah, whatever, let's move this in. But yeah, but because even if I got one for Toria, the other two weren't gonna go down just by
Yeah,
me.
I
So
mean,
there's
yeah, for sure. I mean, but for him, he needs to be a team player, and he needs to know what that actually means. It's not like, oh, I'm going to do my little
Well,
thing.
so one thing was interesting though was when Sharky Satori was the last one, he did kept saying because I don't know why John was saying it, Doba was saying it a bunch, but and Shoei was saying it too. He kept saying that it's like this is the last one to go after. So because like I think Muntsev had a problem. He was saying that like his eco was bad, so if he lost that army, he wouldn't be able to replenish it. But and so that's why they kept saying like, no, this is the last one. So if you go in, we're good. Like because I mean we need everything. It's an all in. Because if we fail, yes, we're gonna lose, but it's a high probability that we will take it out. And then that's where I was like panicking when Jobo's cavalry was taking out your villagers. I was like, no, get them off. Oh my gosh.
Man,
But
because by that time I was. I mean, actually, since Fassel's time, I wasn't really. I just needed to extend the game so that Sharky gets the brunt of the attack. You know.
Yeah, so,
Sure,
so
sure.
there's certain things like playing with Kurum, by the way, it's a different beast. I never count on him as a player in my strategy, if that makes sense. To me, it's a 3v4. That's my mind going into this, right? So when I see him do certain maneuvers, there's always a reason for it. I'm not asking for it. There's always a reason for it, and that's what I'm saying. Like when Kurum came to help me protect Vassal, I didn't know why, because that's not a typical response from him. It was actually kind of surprising for me. And then we get into the retros. It's like, oh yeah, Sharky had an error too. Well, I'm like, I didn't know Sharky was having an error.
And I just realized that you brought this up too. So Dobo had his bunch of pikemen, and all of a sudden, like his pikemen have like really bad line of sight or something, and all of a sudden, like all this blue just skirmishers popped out of the forest, and I was like, back them up. But I think that's, I mean, in a way, trying to relate to that. What was it? Is that's blue kind of teaching Dobo a lesson? Don't put your guys like right here without like kind of backing them up or scouting or whatever, because they were just sitting there, and they lost a lot, I think, before I was telling them get back up, something like that. I could be wrong.
But like I said, I mean, it's hardly me doing anything. Honestly, it's mostly that I'm really spending most of my time looking at what people are not doing. So at the end of the day, it almost sounds like I give a litany of things that there's still so many things you're not doing, but it's okay. I think the basic things to make things fun, at least for the team game, because everybody's like investing in some time in this as a team, they need to get some basics down, some very basics, and that's what I talk about. But even in talking that, people get overwhelmed or.
Oh, that's why I think of the little micro wars. If you made a couple of those games, I feel like that'd be kind of fun. Honestly, like do it for like 30 minutes. We each get like, or it would be like a bunch in 30 minutes, I'm sure, because each fight should not last more than like 10 seconds, unless someone runs their cavalry away or something like that. But that'd be kind of cool.
The problem right now is that
it's a lot of work.
It's not a micro issue. It's a macro issue.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
mean,
problem.
Mm.
So
people
say
are
for like that game 3 where you guys just completely trashed Fassel, completely trashed him, right? When he was in mid,
Mhm.
and you guys like all came in and just overwhelmed him, right? Uh, you know what he said in comms? But this is what he told me. There's a lot of activity here. What does that mean? What does that even mean? You know what I mean? I have no
I
idea what that
guess
means.
right. I'm trying to. I guess that makes you think of like, well, is that units? Is that buildings? Is that like I don't know, a lot of colors?
I
Like I
literally
don't know.
just
Yeah.
and right before I'm like, hey, Shuaib is making Eagle Warriors. So be on that tells you be on the lookout for Eagle Warriors,
I
right?
was trying to keep my Siege Workshop covered, but you guys, all three, I feel like you guys sent a scout, and I'm like, oh, they're expecting this, guys. They're expecting it. We got to go, go, go. And we went, and I scouted with I think I just sent a forward pikeman because did I have cavalry? I think they died or something, but I sent him forward, and all I saw were like some skirmishers from Fassel, and I didn't see you guys. So I said, let's go. It's a green light. Let's go.
Well,
So
so I actually on purpose
didn't.
uh
Trolled them? I don't know.
kind of left Fassel because I saw Shuaib didn't scout, one. Two, he sent his entire army. So that's why I said, okay, I'm just going to do a counterattack.
So that's why because Shoaib wasn't, he's pulled back, or not pulled back, but he didn't keep replenishing because he was saying that Saman's sending stuff to me.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably were eco fine, right? You probably didn't. The reason why I didn't keep going was, I don't know, Fassel.
Well, I had to protect, and when I sent that force, I had to go move to try to assist Fassel at that time because he was overwhelmed. He was just completely out of it. He was overwhelmed.
And then he had a backward town center because I think once we took that out, then he resigned. And I think that was
No,
it.
no, no. When you took his sound center, I said, if you're okay with it, I'm ready to call this game
Oh, okay.
because like he was just overwhelmed.
Gotcha.
Kind of happened in the last game too, but we kept his TC up, and so, but he lost all of his villagers, which was really bad. Anyway, beside the point. So the reason I did the attack on Shoaib was because I saw he sent his entire military, and the dude did not scout.
Right.
I just didn't happen to have enough res to do it by myself because I wasn't expecting to attack early. And Shoaib was assisted by a second player. Munsif actually came and supported Shoaib. So it became a 2v1 there, which is why they successfully defend. So that was great.
Oh, wasn't Munsif all the way on the right? So he came from the right to help him?
No, he was in the back that game, right?
Game 3?
Yeah,
thought...
game 3. That's when no, Dobo came to assist him. That's right. It was Gray. Whoever was Gray.
Okay, so yeah, it must have been Dobo then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I got 2v1 there, right? So that was
you did send elephants, so Dobo sending pikemen kind of fit that mold, right?
Yeah. So I sent because he had eagles. He was building eagles, so I sent the Ellies and I sent skirms. So that that was great to see that I got 2v1 there. So that was you guys defended. So that was great. And then I went to assist Vassal. What little I could spare. But so here's the thing. Shoaib's been getting these little warnings. You see that?
Yeah, I tell. Yeah, I understand. Jeez. Yeah, we'll see next weekend. That's not really looking forward to it.
There's gonna be a lot of crying. Just like he didn't like the bombard towers. He ain't gonna like what's gonna happen next if he continues in this pathway. So hopefully, he's not like, hopefully he's talking to his teammates, trying to figure out, and he's still shit at scouting, by the way.
Yeah, and then I don't know. You can check out the recordings whenever I get them up. When I was Huns, Fassel actually called out, okay, I'm like, do you want me to go aggressive early? Because that means you guys have to defend me. because he's like, we have to defend Saman. I'm like, okay, so you guys want me going aggressive early? They're like, yeah, we'll defend you. All right, we good. Funny thing is, they never came to defend me.
Well, I mean, did we really do a push on you? I mean, I felt like
No, so I did enough damage to everybody
Yeah.
because all of you came to assist Shoaib.
Yeah.
Shoaib was out.
Yeah, for sure.
Shoaib got hurt so bad that so here think of it this way. The amount of damage I did by stalling Shoaib and on your guys' units made the entire thing worth it.
Yeah, we were dead. Yeah, for sure.
It's just so your units died, Shoaib was on lockdown, Dobo's units died, and Munsif's unit died. Worth it.
And we were also, the other thing too is I was trying to tell because Dobo sent cavalry too, and I was saying you got to hit these units, and because you had the Genitors, you had cavalry archer, and then you obviously had like regular scouts. I don't know, hussars, yeah, and so like don't, especially, did he have hussars too? Because I think he had like cavalry, and I'm like, do not send him right to a hussar, especially like the Hun one. I mean, you could go, let's get these cavalry archers out, and we can send pikes to handle the rest. They're cheaper, and so that was one thing. We just, the coordination wasn't there. Like we just send units to Shoaib, and no one
Part
was
of
really
that was because it's so
microing,
early.
like,
It's so early.
and that too. Sure, yeah.
It's so early. It throws the game off because literally I showed up when Shoaib's TC went up. That's how early I showed up. The second his TC went up, he went on lockdown. He couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
It just happened to have a couple halberdiers, which let him get the TC up.
But still died to cavalry archers, so.
Yeah, then the cav archers started to show up, and he's like, oh shit, and then the Genitors, because that Berber's teammate, I could make Genitors too.
Yeah, and you guys had him twice tonight. I was like, no. Ugh.
But no, it's so much worse when I can build up his Huns, bro. It was so much worse.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
So single-handedly, I put your entire team a bit on the back foot.
And we're putting all those resources. I mean, like the food, right? So every scout, we couldn't make a villager. So yeah.
Exactly, but
big time.
Here's on the flip side, the same applies to me.
Well, that's what we were hoping for, but I mean, come on, be real. It's Saman. It's you.
No. I grant you that, right? But the same applies to me. So that means I'm vulnerable, right?
Yeah. If we because I think we even I might have sent one guy to just check on your base, but I don't think I was more devoted to helping Shoaib out. I think I tried to see what we could do.
Yeah, you guys can't. You pushed me back, and then you did a little bit of scouting, but then you're like, it's not really worth it because he does have enough of a military presence left that he can defend himself.
Yeah. Well, so, and we're already behind. Like we can't. If if it propelled us forward, then yes, like for sure we would then take you out. But for us, it pretty much, you just bought your teammates time. That's really what it did. It put my team behind and you behind, but then everyone else was forward. So
exactly. So
that's nothing we could do. Yeah.
Thinking of it from that strategic point of view, me doing that was worth it. So that's that's how I think about my raids. By the way, if my raid puts you on the back foot for a designated amount of time or resources, either or, I consider it a success.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, I try to do that game. I think just the last game when you went to go help out, I was like, you know what? I have these units standing by. I'm not going to contest mid because I'm trying to take a defensive stand. And instead, I mean, it wasn't defensive. I said, you know what? Let's hit his eco. Or I even scouted first. I sent the cavalry guy first, and he started chopping. And dude, I keep making the mistake. I hit F. And so he's just standing there next to your villager after he already killed one of them. And I'm like, dude, I even said earlier today, I was like, man, I can't play this game anymore. I just keep making the unit stop. or no, not stop, but go no stance. It's so annoying. And then I think I fixed it. I corrected it after that.
Yeah, you did some good damage. Like it took me a while to get my farms and stuff back, and It was hard because I'm here trying to help Sharky. I'm trying to defend my base with limited units. I don't know if your team is going to push forward or not, so I have to leave some units forward, and then I'm assisting Fassel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I thought, yeah, it was try to do something for the sake of, like, it was almost, you could say it was a double down, and like if Shoaib was going to get counterattacked, like it wouldn't really matter, I guess, but that's kind of what the idea was. We take the Vittori out and then also catch you off guard and hit eco. So
So here's the thing. But let's flip this though. Had Fassel scouted and been prepared for that, right? He would have been able to defend, which means I could have defended my ego.
yes, mm-hmm.
But
Totally.
everything went sideways, like when I was Huns and came forward and messed you guys up. Everything went sideways when Shoaib came and messed Fassel up. Exact same scenario.
Well, so there was another time where I went left and you guys scouted it. Not today, but like a couple weekends ago.
No, it was today.
Well, yeah, I did it today too, but a couple weekends ago, and it was, I want to say it was the no, this was when the gold patch in the middle. Do you remember that big, like the stone and the gold in the middle? Like it was a big, like, and the two sides, and we were all equal, like the four, and there was no one in the back, and I got a guy all the way in the back. I got it once, I think, and then the second time
that was a 3v4 where Fassel went full left, where you kind of thought Fassel's Vittoria was on that side. When
no, there's no Vittorias in this. There was no Vittorias. It was just like battle for gold in the mid or something. I don't. This was a while ago, months ago. I think honestly, I think it was like when Ben played, or maybe when Will played or something. But I went left, and I think one time it worked. Like I took out. I had a presence there. Like took out another town center of yours, maybe not yours, but someone's, and but then I tried to do it again, and once you like thwarted that, it was like over. Like basically it put us so far behind. Maybe it wasn't that map. I don't know. But the point was trying to make is that when you guys thwarted the left side, it was just me, but then totally put me behind, and then my team were kind of like caught off guard because number one, this happens in games where you basically trigger the other team, right? You guys build military, and then they're not expecting the military, so then it just I neutered my team. Yeah. So basically, that's kind of what Shoaib could have done, right? He could have triggered that kind of effect and been like we'd have been done instead.
But Fassel didn't scout it, got caught off guard, and it worked.
Yeah.
And you know,
and then Sharky, well, it was a double whammy too, and then Sharky had the problem on the right too. So that's kind of
So then I'm just running around because I'm like, again, I view these games as a 3v4, so I'm not asking for Hodem for anything. He doesn't say anything. He leaves everything to me. Literally, you can go back in almost all the recordings, unless someone's like complaining or doing something like that. He leaves everything to me. He doesn't say a word.
Yeah, so one of the things when we got your Vittoria, I don't think we should have went that way because I scouted the second. So what was it? When I attacked you, obviously there was nothing there. Like you had some, but mostly villagers and stuff. But when we scouted again, there was a lot of blue, and I didn't want to go that way. I actually wanted to go all the way around through Blue's farms because I felt like that it was. Wasn't the Vittoria right there? Like if once we passed both town centers, the Vittoria was right there, and then because you had a castle too on towards me, but instead we went that way and it worked. I don't know why, because I think Blue pulled out or something because there was not a big enough Blue force right there. I'm not sure. I could watch the replay, but basically, if Quorum, are you still here? If we march through your farms, would you like just devour the army, or would you let us go through?
He would probably let you go through. I can tell you, as long as you're not attacking his farms and the mistakes that were made on our team, he would let you go through.
Because you guys probably saw my scouts going certain ways, and the idea was to figure out where to go. Because I did not want to go through pretty much right towards your army. Like, and Shoaib said, "No, we're going this way." Like,
I was just buying time for Winsif to do the job. So
Well,
Sharky,
this is
so Sharky can't really say that.
no. I'm
You
talking
know,
about when Samad's Vittori was still up.
oh yeah, that and even that's fine. The thing is this. At the end of the day, Fassel was out, and Saman put a lot of effort there. And fact is that there are certain basic things that were missed, and because they were missed, you guys could have easily just gone straight and through my area and just taken it out. I wouldn't.
There was nothing on the right.
So,
It was just
I
wide
wouldn't really
open.
care. I
And
wouldn't really
then
care.
think of it this way: the more egregious the mistake, the less likely blue will interfere with the other team. From blue's a blue teammate who plays with Kodum, I'm going to tell you this right now: the more egregious the mistake from our team, the less and less blue will show. On the flip side, the more you guys make an effort and you guys fail, the more and more
punish us
he will
more.
show up.
Mm-hmm.
So if you fail, he will show up. If we fail, he will disappear. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So why did you pull back? I need to watch the replay because maybe you were still there, but I don't know. Like I thought that was such a bad idea going right. Pretty much we went straight towards you, Saman, instead of like whipping around either. Because I think left got thwarted because of you, because you were helping Fassel, and then I was like, we got to go right. We got to go all the way around through like those farms. Your the farms right there, and it's just an open path. And I was scouting. And I was just like, there's nothing here. And then I'm also thinking, I might have said this. I was like, Moonsif can help too because he's on the right. But I don't know. I gotta watch the replay. Maybe it was just in my head. But there was a key moment there, and I definitely scouted a couple times. And then obviously at the end, I'm like, "There's nothing over here too." Like to get to the Sharkies, and then he put walls, or someone put
I
walls
put
around it.
walls.
Yeah. So that did a lot. The first attack with the Moonsif was like, "No one's protecting the siege ramp." Damn.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, it was really a matter of just I needed Munsif to complete the job.
Yeah. So the Fassel got his punishment, and then Sharky. Yeah.
Got his,
And then I just got stuck in the middle.
and
Yeah.
he just got like what? And part of it is like as a team, no one should be okay with black spots. No one.
Yeah, I mean, I admit it. So this is why I said this a long time ago before we started. Obviously, these maps are a little different, but I said it before about the shenanigans. Like, if you see black, expect someone to either be there or he's gonna be there eventually. So he'll do some shenanigans in the corner or something. So scout it. So don't leave it to like chance or like whatever to him to take advantage of it because he's done it before and yeah, plenty of times. Jeez, expect
All
that.
all I know is next week it's gonna get even more explosive.
All right, cool.
All right, man.
Yeah, all right, let's end on
Take it
that.
easy, man.
Good
All right,
stuff.
guys.
Have
Take
a
it
good
easy.
night.
Have a good one. Bye.